Good morning. It's good to see you today. Pardon me for not getting videos up the last couple of days, but I hope you're doing well. It is the Gospels Wednesday. We're going to be looking at Luke chapter 4 today. We're going to be looking at the tale of two cities, basically. We're going to be looking at Capernaum. In Capernaum, in Luke chapter 4, verse 42, it says, "When it was day, Jesus departed and went into a deserted place, and the crowd sought him and came to him and tried to keep him from leaving them," in verse 42. What a beautiful picture. As you have a multitude trying to keep Jesus, but Jesus has other cities that he needs to go preach to. Other folks need to hear him. I wanted to talk about why they wanted to keep the Lord. The verse right before that, in verse 41, it says, "And demons also came out of many, crying and saying, 'You are the Christ, the Son of God.' And he, rebuking them, did not allow them to speak, for they knew that he was the Christ." Earlier in the account, talks about him healing a fella who had a spirit of an unclean demon in the synagogue. Jesus, he puts the devil in his place. And that shows us that he is the Lord. Right? He puts the devil in his place. But also, a verse earlier, verse 40, it says, "When the sun was setting, all those who had any that were sick with various diseases brought them to him, and he laid his hands on every one of them and healed them." Jesus puts death and sickness in its place and in its perspective. No, it doesn't mean that we're not going to get sick. No, it doesn't mean that we're not going to die. But for us, those who pass on, they sleep in Jesus. That is all done by the Lord's authority. But also notice it says that he laid his hands on every one of them and healed them. It is a wonderful thing that Jesus is not a respecter of persons, that whoever calls upon the name of the Lord will be saved. He healed everyone there. Everyone who brought someone who was sick, he healed them all. And the way that all of this starts is, as he was there in Capernaum, up at verses 31 and verse 32, he was teaching them on the Sabbaths in the synagogue. And it says, "And they were astonished at his teaching, for his word was with authority." Right? The King James uses the word doctrine. All of this started because they believed Jesus and they believed what Jesus was teaching. That's where it all began. And to look at the account, you see Jesus healing. There was a man who had a demon in their synagogue, right? So you have Jesus healing their synagogue. You have Jesus healing families. In the same account, Peter's mother-in-law is healed. And you have Jesus healing communities, as you have the whole city, the whole community wanting to keep Jesus there. Now you contrast that with the city right before this, and that was Nazareth. Right here Capernaum is, and they wanted to keep him. And what had Nazareth done? They had not believed. They had not believed what Jesus taught. They rejected it. Not only did they reject his teaching, they actually tried to kill Jesus. And remember what Jesus says? Jesus says that they would say, those in Nazareth, at verse 23, "Whatever we have heard done in Capernaum, do also here in this country." And that would come to pass, as those things done in Capernaum, at verse 37, "And the report about him went out into every place in the surrounding region." I wonder what those folks in Nazareth thought then. A tale of two cities. Hope you enjoyed this study. God bless you. We'll see you tomorrow morning.